as the French say, good evening. Yes, I'm learning. I'm trying to practice my French.
Mainly
in the Xinjiang province. First, just like how war is...
大家好，新年快乐。
They don't have any words that I don't know how to
Okay,
spell.
spaghetti.
10 languages that will be highly valuable in the future. The world is experiencing more change than it has ever seen in any recent era. The economic arena is being transformed, with former giants shrinking into obscurity and previously poor nations replacing them as major economic and political leaders of the New World Order. As such, changes occur. Each of us has to adapt in order to make the most out of them. In business, culture, and politics, language has always been one of the primary factors in the interaction and cooperation among nations. And just like today, non-English speakers are keen on learning English in order to advance their careers and enrich their knowledge. The new changes require that we look into learning new languages in order to be able to seize the new opportunities created by that amazing era that we're closing in on.
Charlemagne, Holy Roman Emperor, said to have a second language is to have a second soul.
That being said, here are 10 languages that are expected to be highly valuable in the future. Number 1. Mandarin. Even though Mandarin is mainly spoken inside China, when compared to languages like English or Spanish that are spoken across several countries and in several continents, Mandarin still gets the lion's share. There are more than 1 billion people who speak Mandarin natively, and with the rise of China as an economic superpower that is likely to surpass the United States in the foreseeable future, more and more people, especially entrepreneurs and students, are starting to learn the language. Although it's hard to imagine the Chinese language replacing English as the world's language of business anytime soon, learning Mandarin can still give you an advantage in negotiations with Chinese partners or if you're looking to take your business opportunity or job there.
We can't know the future, not completely.
The Chinese people are still proud of their language despite the country's openness to the world, and so learning to speak Mandarin can help you fit in and win them over easier than if you're only depending on English for your communication over there. With Chinese education making huge leaps and as more research papers are coming today out of China, researchers and students have a lot to gain from learning the language. Number 2. Hindi. With more than 400 million people speaking Hindi as a mother tongue and another 120 million or more speaking it as a second language, Hindi carries with it an abundance of human experiences and business opportunities. India is one of the most vibrant nations on the planet today. Millions of people go there to tour the country's breathtaking ancient and modern sites, mix with the local population with all its diversity and rich culture, and taste its magnificent cuisine right at the origin. More importantly though, India is growing at a steady pace towards economic superpower status. Today, Indian skilled labor has been traveling around the world engaging in massive business projects and working at some of the biggest companies, and a huge portion of the global tech industry is outsourced to India among many other services like customer support and hospitality.
Fantastic.
Number 3. Arabic. The Arab world today is home to more than 400 million people, and unlike most Western countries, learning Arabic is probably the only way to get around over there. Sure, there's a decent percentage of the population that speaks English, and there are countries like Algeria, Tunisia, and Morocco who speak French natively, but Arabic remains the dominant language in the entire Middle East region. The reasons why learning Arabic can be beneficial are plenty. There are industries like energy and security where Arabic can definitely be a bonus, and as Saudi Arabia and UAE are working towards a future in which they are both global economic hubs, and with a famous megacity like Neom that the Saudis are currently building, this area will become more and more attractive to live, work, and invest in. Also, the Arab region has one of the highest population growth rates, and in recent years, Arabs have been migrating to countries all over the globe in increasing proportions, so if you live in Europe or North America, you'll be mixing with Arabs more than at any point in the past. The only problem with the Arabic language, though, is that every country speaks a completely different dialect from those that are spoken in its neighboring countries. If you learn the mother language, you still will face difficulties understanding the vernaculars. However, due to the popularity of its film and music industries, Egypt's dialect is considered a lingua franca among Arab nations. Number 4. French. There are around 220 million people living today, mostly in France, French Canada, and a number of European and African nations who speak French. The number is expected to inflate up to 750 million people by 2050. French was one day the lingua franca across the bigger part of continental Europe and the large number of European colonies, and French literature and knowledge were spread around the world throughout the 18th and 19th century before English took over in the 20th century. Until this day, if you're a philosophy scholar or student or someone in the field of international relations, learning French will definitely benefit you in terms of the classic academic sources and literature that you will be able to read in their original forms. Also, there's a possibility that French is on a rise back to its previous status as a globally common language, although it probably won't be as elitist as it used to be in the past. Back then, only the aristocrats and foreign-educated scholars outside of Europe knew how to speak French. If the language is to make a comeback in the future, it will be in the reach of average people from all classes thanks to the internet. Number 5. Spanish. This sexy language is the world's second most dominant native language. Besides Spain, the absolute majority of South America speaks Spanish as their mother tongue, and it's the second most spoken language in the US. The number of native Spanish speakers around the world is closing on 500 million people from various continents. And countless other people are learning it as a second language for various reasons. Some because they like the cultural heritage attached to it, and others because the language simply allures the ear. Besides the cultural aspect, though, Spanish is becoming an increasingly attractive language for employers and businesses. With such huge markets and populations living by it, learning Spanish would definitely enrich your resume and boost your capability to grasp business opportunities in major markets like Mexico, Colombia, Chile, and Argentina. Many NGOs also operate in Spanish-speaking nations in South America, so if that's your sector, learning the language can get you an opportunity there and allow you to communicate more easily with the local populations, which in the field of NGOs is a major plus. Finally, Spanish is one of the closest languages to the Latin origin, and so learning it will help you learn other Latin-based languages. Number 6. German. Germany today is the most important economic and political power in the entire region of Western Europe and inside the European Union. It's the country with the most vibrant industries and where opportunities are always available for people from all over the world with fewer barriers than in most developed countries. People from the Middle East, North America, East and Central Asia, and Eastern Europe are flocking towards Germany at increasing rates, and it's not likely to stop anytime soon. Students have the opportunity to study there at some of the world's top universities without paying almost any tuition fees.
What will you think of next, Germany?
Besides Germany itself, German is spoken natively in Austria, Switzerland, parts of Belgium, Italy, and is one of Luxembourg's 3 official languages. Number 7. Portuguese. Although Portugal isn't at its best phase in the moment, it's not where most Portuguese speakers live anyway. Brazil is where 80% of native Portuguese speakers live. And with the country's economic rise as a member of the BRIC bloc along with Russia, India, and China, learning Portuguese will become a key to countless business and career opportunities. The cultural scene in Brazil is also pretty vibrant, and there are movies like City of God and Elite Squad that have made it to global fame in recent years. Aside from Brazil, there are a number of African nations like Angola and Mozambique which are growing into viable markets and where Portuguese remains the official language. Number 8. Hebrew. Hebrew is actually one of the least commonly spoken languages in the world, being only used at a major scale inside Israel. However, that small nation of a little over 20,000 square kilometers and almost 9 million residents will become one of the major technological hubs in the future. Silicon Wadi in Tel Aviv is already one of the world's top 10 tech hubs and is among the most welcoming and promising ecosystems for startup companies. After all, Israel is known as the startup nation. If you're in the cybersecurity business in particular, then Hebrew is the language to learn because Israel is expected to dominate that field in the future. Besides that, Hebrew is one of the most ancient cultural and religious media of communication. and learning it will gain you access to countless texts and cultural resources that you probably won't find available in any other language. Number 9, Japanese. Japan is one of the most awe-inspiring economic and cultural models in human history. That relatively small island in the Pacific Ocean with a population of almost 130 million people is the world's third biggest economic power and a goldmine of technological and scientific innovation. The future of Japanese robotics is expected to be filled to the brim with major breakthroughs, and the video games and electronic devices that come out of Japan are uncontested anywhere else in the world. If you're looking to pursue a career in any of these industries, Japan should be your #1 destination, and learning Japanese is a great way to prepare yourself for it. Also, we all look at Japanese culture as an unsolvable mystery. We watch anime, and many of us like the movies of Japanese directors like Akira Kurosawa, but still there are many things about that bizarre nation that we just can't quite comprehend. Knowing the language and being able to read and listen to it directly as opposed to looking up the translation is a good path to unlocking the mysteries of Japanese culture. Number 10, Russian. Besides being the mother tongue to over 1/4 billion people, the Russian language is a gateway to learning several other East Slavic languages that are spoken in countries that previously belonged to the Russian Empire, like Ukrainian and Belarusian. More importantly, Russia has been for decades a major political power and is becoming an increasingly dominant player in a number of industries, like energy, cybersecurity, and weapons. Also, there are tech hubs that are budding across Russia, which are showing a lot of hope as potentially competitive regions in the future of the global tech industry. If you find any of these languages interesting or think they might help your career and enable you to seize more opportunities, then now is the best time to go out and prepare for your future. Also, if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, then don't forget to do it now in order to receive more of our inspiring and informative videos.